very small family.
Oh, thank you.
Big region, they're not getting the regional sites.
All right, well, we're coming off a couple of wins and played some of our best basketball at Maryland of the whole year. I thought the first half, the way we pushed the ball, the way we defended the ball, the way we shot the ball, the way we executed, and I thought we got tired for whatever reason. Some of it, Jalen was out, some, and rotations were not good. I thought Malik, we probably played him too long, so that's our next, figuring out how to do a better job with our substitution pattern. And so I blame some of that on me, I blame some on them. But to show a lot of grit to come back after we, in a hostile place, I thought was good for us. The disappointing part, we got our butts kicked on the boards. And the last time we played Wisconsin, both teams out-rebounded us by 14. So that'll be a point of emphasis in this game. But any conference road win right now is, any win's a good win, the way this game has gone this year for everybody. But we're looking forward to another challenge with Wisconsin. It's a rivalry that's been damn good over the years. I think Greg Gard has done an incredible job with this year's group. They've got a lot of guys back. They run a system that guys just have a tendency to get better at. Their big kid is really, Crawl has really done a good job getting better. The Wall kid seems like he's been there for 100 years. But the addition, the Kismet kid is really playing well for him. Maybe at a high level. And the guy that hurt us so much was Storer, who was their one transfer in this year. And he hits 4 threes against us. I think he's got 12 for the year. Wall hit 4 threes against us. I think he's got 7 for the Big Ten season. So as I told you with Nebraska, sometimes things like that happen. But this is a very good team, a very solid team. They don't turn the ball over. Ironically, we have done a great job of not turning the ball over. They play Minnesota tonight. And won, 4 of their last 5. Tough place to play in Madison. Storer has had 22. Kleinschmidt has had the same 16, 18. And Hepburn is maybe as good a solid point guard as there is in our league. He shoots it when he has to. He's really changed his game from when he was a freshman, and I think he's really matured and grown and is maybe as solid, as steady a player as they've got. So good at all positions, got some depth, well coached, tough place to play. Big challenge for us, one I'm looking forward to. Questions?
Hey Tom, a few days ago you mentioned backs against the wall. After these 2 wins, particularly on the road in that type of environment, is there a little space between your back and the wall right now?
Not about that much.
That much?
When we dig a hole like we dug, your back's going to be against the wall. What's the encouraging part is there's so many other teams now you're seeing struggling at times. I just talked to the Baylor coach. They lost 2 in a row, and it's ready to jump off a bridge. That's kind of what's happened a lot this year. But what I feel better about is, getting a road win, because that was getting to be an albatross, and then coming back after being up and going down and coming back. I think that's something we showed a little grit, and we're improving in some areas. We're just, I don't think we put the whole game together yet. We haven't rebounded well when we've defended well. When we were defending well and running in the first half, I thought we were as good as we've looked all year against the best defensive team. Second half, at one time we were 2 for 17. I thought we took some bad shots. I thought we got a little tired. I thought they cranked up the defense. I thought, we're not as physical a team as, just both in size and strength, especially on the perimeter, as we were and have been over the years. And once in a while that catches us.
Tom, right here. Wondering how Jaden's ankle was responded.
Yeah, it seems to be good. We didn't practice yesterday. I have a meeting with him after this press conference, but I think he'll practice today, even if it's in limited, but I don't think it's anything he went back in and played. I don't think it's anything our trainer's worried about. And yet, you know, he wasn't the same then, but he played through it, and I give him a lot of credit for that.
You mentioned about the ability for this team to kind of go on the road and do the things, and stringing that together now, is that, I mean, that's obviously something that's tough for everybody right now. Is there anything different this year, or is it just that, what do you think is allowing that at this point? Causing that, I guess, across the board?
I had 2 New Year's resolutions. Probably had 100 of them, but 2 of them I had is I was going to quit because I'd done a pretty good job. I was going to quit letting bad calls because I think it's inconsistent, which everybody does. And then I got a tee the other night, and ref at Maryland said, "Did you break your New Year's resolution?" I said, "Did you break yours?" He says, "What was mine?" I said, "Well, I talked to you a while ago. You said you aren't going to make any more bad calls." So I guess I broke mine, and you probably broke yours, so we're even. But aren't you wondering what those conversations are like with the officials at times? That's what it was like. But the other one was to quit talking about why I think there's so many problems, but I documented them pretty well early in the year. I forecasted it, I predicted it, whatever the words are. I don't think it's changed any. In fact, I think it's gotten worse. But I'm just going to leave it at that and worry about my own team. And I realized that being on all those committees, I can't change anything. And so hopefully other people are going to realize that basketball has changed, whether it's for good or not, we'll see. But there's only a couple things that have really changed that made this so consistently inconsistent. And we're not talking about Michigan State, we're talking about nationwide. I have my thoughts. I'll keep my resolution half serious, and you guys have your thoughts. Have you ever thought about it? What is your thoughts?
Well, it kind of goes to my other part of it, is the scheduling piece of it. I mean, this, for example, you guys haven't really had that, you know, short prep. Now, for the first time you get it, in Wisconsin, got to go on the road and go back.
Well, the scheduling piece is a good point, so I give you credit on that. I think the scheduling piece that's even more difficult is this 7 days a week. You know, so you just never ever feel when you're playing. You never ever feel that there's a day off. I mean, thank God you can go to church again, you know, because at least I know when Sunday is. Other than that, I don't know what any day of the week is. And I'm not complaining about it. It's the same for everybody, sort of, but that is hard on the players. You know, they talk about all these things hard on the players, you know. It was interesting because we played a noon game and we pulled back into the arena at 7 at night, you know, because you're like an hour from the airport there. If that was a night game, we would have gone home at 4 in the morning. And, you know, I think we played a late game on Friday, or later game on Friday. We're scheduled to get back at 1:30, 2:30 in the morning. Those things are different. And then you turn around and play the late night game on Tuesday, you know, but that's at home. So I don't know, that could be some of it. The schedules are crazier. I think our league, I told you that I don't think there's any bottom. I think there's a couple at the top and then there's a bunch in the middle. So you're never, you know, since I've been in this league for 40 years, if you look at GA wise in that, there was always 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games that you penciled in, I should win. Now you don't pencil in one. I mean, you really don't. And that's different, you know. It's there's just not 3 teams that you play twice at the bottom, that's 6 wins. You know, you don't have any of those. So it is more difficult on coaches, it's more difficult on players, and it's more difficult in travel, it's more difficult in the number of games you play, and it's not even close to what next year brings.
Sure.
Good question. That was a good answer. I think you're partially right, but I don't think anybody wants to go to the dark side that I always go to, so you guys are wimps. But anyway, what were you saying?
You're looking at me when you say dark side.
Always.
There are different ways to lead. Some guys scream and yell. Malik Hall, since his 0-0 against Northwestern, didn't hang his head, is kind of pretty much had 5 or 6 really good games. Is that a sign of leadership in your mind?
That's a sign of maturity in my mind. Leadership, to be very honest with you, in my simplest terms, is leading other people around you to become better than they actually could be. That to me is leadership. When you bring other people to a different level. If you're just taking care of yourself, that's maturity. I think he's had a little bit of both. He does lead quietly in practice in that. But when he's communicating on the court and really leading, he's a really good player. And it wasn't just the 5 out of 6. He had some games before that Northwestern game when he played good, and played well. And and then he had he was seriously sick last time we played these guys. Missed the whole week, didn't practice 1 second before the shoot around, and played with 101 temperature. And so I give him a lot of credit on that, but didn't play very well in this game, and that hurt us. So, the Wisconsin game and the Northwestern game, for him this year, that was, I don't know why, but I really began to appreciate that he is really needed. You 4-man and a point guard are really needed. And the 4-man has to do so much. He's got to guard somebody good. He's got to rebound. He's got to score it. He's got to pass it. He's got to work out in the press with us. So that 4-man becomes very, very, very important. And he's not a center anymore. He's not a post player anymore. He's probably now one of the more versatile players, which I think Malik has the skills and the quality in his game to do that. And I think he's starting to figure it out. I still go back to the, no spring, no summer, and a little fall from Malik Hall because of the surgery and the injury. And I think he's starting to come into his own, and for that I'm greatly appreciative. So he does lead in different ways, and I think he could take that to one more level, and that would be to really use all that knowledge on the court, but demand that people understand what he's doing. Don't ask him, demand it. And that's what I think a leader does.
Tom, it's been a month since Jeremy Pierce was shot. I'm just wondering what insight can you provide on how this last 30 days has been, just mentally, emotionally, physically?
Yeah, I've always been impressed that he's got leadership qualities. I mean, he can sit there right now in practice and he can hear the scouting report and he can reiterate everything. He can come into me in a game or in a huddle and he can actually tell guys stuff. He's got an incredible sense. I thought he would be more distraught than he is. I mean, I think he's accepted that that's the way it is. And he's been a positive, working out every day, sitting in a chair shooting. I've been really impressed on how he's handled something, because I said something the other day. I said, did you ever go this long without playing basketball? He says, no. I said, I'm talking about since you were 4, 5. And he goes, yeah, it might have been 3, because I know his dad and the way he was. And so a lot's been taken away from him. I think mentally, emotionally, physically, he's done everything he can do, and there's not been many down days, which I wouldn't have done as good a job as he's done. So I've been very impressed with Jeremy, how he's handled things, how he still stayed engaged with the players, the team. I think that says a lot about his leadership qualities. That's going to be beneficial once, he comes back at the end of the year, next year, whenever it is. He's starting to run a little bit in the treadmill underwater. He's starting to do a few more things. He's way ahead of where I thought he would be. Not that I really knew, because I haven't gone through something like this. But from what I thought, he's just made incredible progress, and his mental approach to things is mentally tough kid.
You kind of hinted at this, but do you have a timeline for him? Do you kind of know what?
No idea. I really don't. I mean, I think it'll be, he just got off the crutches a week ago. I think it'll be some time yet before they really x-ray things and MRI and CT scan and whatever other things they do now. And, then we might know a little bit more, but it's like all the other analytics that I got ripped for. You can make a statement that a guy that breaks a leg should come back in this time, but everybody comes back at a different time. Everybody handles things differently. The one thing that the numbers show that, he should be out maybe the whole year. But you look at that kid and what he's done, and you say, you can't measure kid's heart. There's no analytics for his heart. And so I'm really pleased and proud of what he's done under the circumstance.
Tom, when you play a team like Wisconsin and you have a game where Malik Hall's sick, and so you have to forget some of that and how that went, and then you have, Krull hitting a bunch of threes and Storr hitting a bunch of threes, and then it doesn't play out that way in the rest of the Big Ten season. When you're creating a scout the second time around, how much are you thinking about what happened versus what's happened since with them, and how do you do that?
Well, since everybody made fun of me, I heard, or some people, thank God Stephen A. Smith came to my rescue in analytics, but that's the problem with it, I think Krull has got 7 threes in the Big Ten. He's got 4 of them against us. I think Storr got 12 threes in the Big Ten. He's got 4 against us. And, so you got to look at, okay, statistically he's not a great shooter, let's just say, or he doesn't take a lot of them. But in that game, I'm watching film of these other games, and he's standing at the top of the key with nobody near him. He's not shooting it. And so we're not going to take that chance again. I think we're going to guard him and take the analytics and stick it and figure that in general, some guys get hot against teams. Some guys play better in certain arenas. Some guys, make shots on certain nights. But for those two to go 8 for 10 in that game, really socked us, and I'll blame it on us a lot. You can see in one shot that he hits in front of our bench, we're telling whatchamacallit to get back, and that wasn't Marty's fault. That was our fault, my fault. So it is interesting. It's a good question that we're going to try to guard more head up and not give anybody anything, and realize that we'll still play the numbers. We're going to play, the percentages on certain things, but there'll be nobody getting ready to shoot shots this game. And really, Storr he made some tough shots, in all fairness to him, and has continued being, one of the more best newcomer players in the league, if you ask me.
Coming off of playing better in certain arenas, they've won their last 3 here, and you guys have won your last 2 there. How tough it is to win on the road in the Big Ten? Why do you think that is?
You got to call those guys that I was just talking about. They'll give you the numbers on that. But I don't know. I don't know. As I said, you can look at those numbers, and maybe they had a guy sick. Maybe they had a guy missing when he was here. Maybe we had a guy sick. When we were there last year, maybe they were going through a shooting slump. Right now, the Kismet kid is playing as well as anybody I've seen in our league. So that's part of it too. Sometimes you catch teams at the wrong time. Sometimes you catch teams at the wrong night. And Michigan State and Wisconsin have had a long rivalry, since they broke our 54-game winning streak here. It's been a rivalry, and it's been a good rivalry. And all the stuff about Bo, and I've always had great respect for him. I do think he's a Hall of Fame guy. I think he's up. I think, what he accomplished there, what he did there, what he accomplished in basketball his whole career. That's a guy that should be in the Hall of Fame, if you ask me. But, we had some wars with them. And because we both had good players, we were both in that, I think, 2015 Final Four. we both had good teams that had done it the right way, and so I always respect him. I respect Greg because to me he does it the right way, and as a hell of a coach. I mean, he really is. They run a system that you never turn the ball over. You know, we'll say, well, maybe they don't run enough, maybe they don't do this. You know what they do enough? Win. They win enough. And so I think he's done a great job there taking over for a guy who did a phenomenal job there. So part of it is, you know, why we played well over there, some, I don't know. There's why they played well over here, some, I don't know. Sorry.
Tom, right here. I hope this isn't too redundant to what Graham just asked you, but when those guys came in and, like you said, a couple of those kids sort of, excuse me, sort of punched above their weight a little bit in certain categories. You expect that from at home, you know, now that you guys are playing them at home, do you think that focuses your guys in a little bit more, that there's a potential for guys to sort of play above in certain situations?
Yeah, I think our guys are excited to play. I mean, because, you know, Wisconsin's one of those teams that everybody knows that Wisconsin, Michigan State, there's been a pretty good rivalry over the years, you know, and that's one thing tradition does bring. And so, you know, I don't think their focus, I mean, we did get surprised here a little bit. I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, anybody goes 8 for 10. Who goes 8 for 10? You know, name me 2 players that have gone 8 for 10 against anybody. It's hard to find, you know. So those 2 guys did an unbelievable job, and hopefully we found the problem. It cost us a game. We got to fix that problem. That doesn't mean other problems. You know, as I said, how do you say it? Klesmet. I don't think did much against this last game, did he? And he's been on fire the last couple of weeks. Really good, and so that's what we got to deal with.
All in all, I think you felt decent about that game, if I remember right, didn't you? All things considered, or am I misremembering that?
Well, if you remember, we got off to a very poor start,
Right.
and then that poor start, then we played pretty even. Then we got it. We had it at 3 and 4, and we had 3 or 4 different opportunities, and then Storr hit another big 3, and a tough one, and they pulled away a little at the end. But I don't feel I could feel good about starting out poorly. About, I think we were down 20-6 or something. I don't think I could feel good about giving up anybody shooting 8 for 10. I mean, hell, we got guys that aren't making 8 out of 10 layups. You know, they don't make 8 out of 10 free throws, and they made 8 out of 10 threes from guys that were shooting 20-some%. So, yeah, it was. It's what happens that's the difference to me in basketball and like football. You don't see that happening in football, you know. So that's one of our problems. They got some ones that we don't have. Snowing.
Tom, if you did take that walk on the dark side, would the portal and NIL be over there?
As far as,
Would those be the things that would come up when you talk about the things?
well, I definitely think so. You know, I mean, I just think the consistencies. I mean, some teams you get some guys that transfer in and they're really good players and they got experience, they got age, but then do they fit in? You know, I mean, some people have done a better job than others, but I just said I think those are the reasons. I think there's kids. I get texts already on people that want to transfer. We're in the second week of January. You know, you just never had that before, and I think that's the new world we live in. And I guess enough people think it's cool. You guys must think it's cool. I don't see anybody writing any bad stuff about it. So I got to adjust, and I will adjust. And you know, I like where we are. I didn't like the start of this season. That had nothing to do with anything except missing shots and playing good people. And so now, you know, we put our backs against the wall, and yeah, I moved up this much. That's seriously about the truth. I don't feel very comfortable. Part of the reason I don't feel very comfortable is there just are a lot of really good teams. There's not a lot of great elite teams, but there's a lot of really good teams. And I think you'd all agree it's hard to pick who would be somebody you trust and bet your house on to get to the Final Four, as an example. I still think Purdue has proven that they're the best team in the league, and the team we play has a better record than Purdue. So that's where it's at. And the schedules do make a difference because they're not balanced schedules. You know, when I got into this league, they're not balanced in any way. I got into this league, you'd play Indiana the first Big Ten game and Indiana the ninth Big Ten game. In other words, you'd play the first round and then you'd play the same rotation the second round. Then it started playing where sometimes we played Michigan on a Tuesday and then we played them the second time the following Thursday, you know? And then when we started expanding, you only play certain teams once and certain teams twice. That's made a big difference. And I think for coaches, we understand that. For the general public, I don't think they realize how difficult that is. And that's fine. I mean, it's fair for everybody. It's just different for us to deal with, and probably different for you to see, you know, maybe a team's played 2 or 3 games on the road against the best teams. Maybe they played 2 or 3 games on the road against the worst teams, and those things get complicated more so. But I'm not complaining about it, because next year it'll take that to a whole new era, and it'll be interesting to see how that works out.
All right, thank you.
2 more. You mentioned about Malik Hall trying to conserve his minutes a little bit. I know there's different choices you have, but what kind of solutions are you working through in terms of player development to try to?
Yeah, you know, we're continually going to try to get Booker more and more time. He's practiced better. That's usually the big social media news, and rightfully so. I absolutely love Book. I think he's in a decent place as far as everybody wants to play more. It's just amazing when you look around the country that I do, and you see the problems freshmen are having, and some more than others, and sometimes it's in the matchup. You know, like the other day, I mean, they're playing Scott as a power forward who shoots threes, who's stronger than an Ox, and it just wasn't the right game, you know, and that's going to happen once in a while until we get him fully going. But he's gaining weight every day. He's getting better. Last week he had a pretty good week of practice. Cohen, we're trying to play there some, but size creates a little bit of a problem with certain teams. And but I think we have to be a little smarter too, and maybe now that we got Jackson back and playing a little bit more, we can move Coop to and move him around a little bit, because he's capable of guarding different people. And so we're going to look at some of those things. But the biggest thing with all my guys is we used to have a very good DJ and I would work on something on minutes played, at least the first half, when they go in, when they come out. So we had a little script, and that seemed corny then, but I'm looking to try to go back to it now. Injuries create, you know, I mean, Jeremy was playing 16 minutes a game, you know, and so that creates it. Then Jaden goes down, that creates some issues. Maybe guys you planned on aren't quite ready to play, that creates some issues. But we can't have these long stretches. We're just burning Tyson out. Not the number of minutes he's playing, the number of stretches he's playing. And I've complained about that. And I got to look in the mirror, because you don't decide that, I do. And we just got to do a better job of it. You know, you kind of got things going in that first half, and you say, all right, let's not change it now. And you realize we're running on one end and we're guarding on the other end, and we're wearing a guy down, and maybe you get that residual effect in the second half. So we just got to be a little bit smarter on it, because we don't have quite the depth. And getting Jackson back helps, but with him out too, and you know, and hopefully we can continue to work Book in there. Hopefully Cohen keeps doing more and more, but there just aren't a lot of freshmen that are helping a lot of teams right now, guys, and it's because of this COVID thing, and it's because of the transfer rule, and all those things together have just created, it's better to recruit 4th and 5th year guys than freshmen. I don't totally agree with that, but I've had my face slapped here a little bit this year, and in some of it, not realizing how many 23, 4, and 5-year-olds are playing right now. I mean, I heard a football guy at 27 or something, right? I mean, yeah, I mean, is that really what we want? If it is, I don't think you can call ours professional sports, because there's some 27-year-olds that are too old to play in professional sports. I mean, we've taken it to a whole new level, and hopefully after next year, the COVID part of this gets eliminated, and that'll help some. But if they keep giving waivers for runny noses, that's not going to change anything anyway.
We've talked so much over the last couple, maybe week and a half about finishing out games, but really, you guys have started strong in a lot of games over the last, what has changed with that? And it seems like Malik in particular has been somewhat of a driving force out of the gate in a lot of those.
That's two good questions in one day, so you're done for the rest of the week, okay? But that is a good point, because remember how we complained for the first 6 games? We were getting off to 17-1 starts, 12-2 starts, 20-6 starts. We really did a poor job, and part of it was we weren't making any shots. I mean, you know, remember we were talking about not making a 3? Now we're leading the league in 3-point shooting, you know, go figure. I mean, if I could figure that out, I sure as hell wouldn't be at this podium right now. But I think you're right. I think we have gotten something out of Malik early. I think we've tried to go to him. We want to get it into the post more than we have. So that's part of it. We want to get to the free throw line more than we have. Getting into the post would help that. But I think we put a big emphasis too on you know, guarding better. I thought we took some great shots early. I thought the second half we took some poor shots, which we haven't had much problem with that, but we had a couple stretches there. And Malik, as good as he was, I mean, he'd be the first to tell you. There was a 4-minute stretch in the second half where it was a turnover, a bad shot, and missed assignment, and you know, he wasn't. But Malik Hall has been a big difference in why we've made this little surge here. And I hope that continues, because he's going to be a very important part as we move forward. All right, anything else? Is everybody so quiet?
Thank you.
Nervous.
Yes, sir.
Quiet.